For 22 years, DC Direct has been the source for action figures and collectibles directly from DC Comics. Through the years, they have thrilled fans with characters that we never thought would be made into action figure form. From the DC Icons line to the Batman the Animated Series figures, we've been spoiled with beautifully designed, sculpted, and painted action figures, statues, and more. Soon, DC Direct, as we know it, will be no more. What we've grown to love and admire will be over, but the name and spirit of their dedication and artistry will forever live on in the collector community.
What is my favorite DC Direct / collectibles? Well, it's the Batman the Animated Series Batwing. The fact that this thing even exists is a testament to its brilliance.
This is my favorite action figure line made by DC Direct, Batman, the Animated Series.
The animated DC figures are some of the best that DC Direct has ever done because it captured the likenesses of the animated series so well.
So I would have to say that my very favorite DC Direct collectible of all time is that classic Silver Age Superman and Lois Lane 2-pack. I got that bad boy way back in 2002, shortly after getting married. It was basically an after the honeymoon wedding gift to my wife and I, where I got the Superman and she got the Lois.
Now, my favorite DC Direct / DC Collectibles item would probably be the Green Lantern Corps power battery.
So, of course, Michael Turner, Black and White Batman, Harley Quinn, Greg Horn, Harley Quinn, Gillian March, and of course Greg Capullo's The Batman Who Laughs and the Robin Minions.
I actually only started reading comics after I started collecting action figures, and it all started with this guy right here.
As far as my favorite figure goes, it's gonna be that Red Hood.
Jason Todd, Red Hood.
Our absolute favourite pieces have to be, strangely for us, the Silver Age Superman and Supergirl figure set.
This Superman from Batman Hush, probably Mongol from Blackest Night.
DC Icons is probably my personal favorite action figure line that they've done, but probably if I had to tell you what I thought their best made line was, then I would go with their Arkham video game line.
I have a soft spot for the Martian Manhunter, so this is probably my favorite figure.
When I see this figure, I don't see just an action figure from the Flash. I see the Flash.
Batman from Arkham Origins.
My favorite DC Direct collectible is this 2003 Wonder Woman mini wall plaque. I have the original advertisement that was put in comic book shops when this was for sale.
I'd have to say that the DC Essentials line as a whole is probably my favorite, just because it gave me my favorite versions of Batman, Superman, Aquaman, Green Lantern. But I'd have to say, if I'm talking about statues, then I'd have to go with the Icons Aquaman and the CoverGirl's Mira.
If I had to pick action figures from DC Direct, it would have to be these two right over here. It's a Batman from Kingdom Come and from Justice. Now if I had to pick from their statues, that would easily be Death from the Sandman series. And DC Direct does such an amazing job making statues of her.
You know, during the 12 years that I worked for DC Direct, I worked on a lot of projects, and I can't really claim any one as a favorite. But if I had to choose maybe from different parts of my career for working with them, I would say the Arkham City Grundy action figure was a big one. The Teen Titans multi-part statue was a big one. And the Alex Ross Batman statue was a big one.
My favorite DC collectible piece, which is the Arkham Asylum Black and White Batman. Hope you guys can see it.
My favorite DC Direct figure is Batman from the New 52 Justice League wave, because this was the first collector level figure I ever got. This was my gateway into collectibles.
You know, my first DC Direct purchase that I remember was in 1999, this Nightwing statue. Nobody's really, in my opinion, topped this after all these years.
My favorite collectible from DC Direct is the Superman Forever #1 statue. The most iconic Superman pose to me is him as Clark Kent opening up his shirt and revealing the Superman costume underneath. What DC Direct means to me is number one, quality. Everything they made, be it an action figure or a statue or a plush, was always incredibly well made, and it has stood the test of time.
DC Direct to me means perfection.
They had respect for source material.
It wasn't even just, it was amazing collectible brand. It was amazing like artist brand. And to keep doing lines where it just looked like they came off the pages and they just kept going. This is the stuff I'm gonna miss from DC Direct.
DC Direct kept the collector in mind because we wanted to have these things, and they showed us that we didn't have to hide our geeky sides.
And you couldn't just find these in box stores. You actually had to go to your local comic shop. And I think that's what made it kind of cool. It was like an exclusive club.
It was fun to have finally a company that delivered figures outside of the core DC characters. I mean, we got the Vertigo stuff, the Mad Magazine stuff.
They don't just stick with the core Justice League characters or the main villains. They went far out and beyond to get these characters from the Sandman series. They went into the Black Lantern universe. They just weren't afraid to stray away from the popular characters.
So what I really love about DC Direct is not only have they captured some of Wonder Woman's best moments in her comic history, but they've also included other characters like Ares, Cheetah, Artemis, and so many others, making gorgeous figures.
There's a character, figure, collectible, that kind of thing. They made it real.
Action figures, basically bringing to life the comic book animated heroes that we all loved.
I have always thought that DC Direct are an emotional link of the old characters and series, where they're not only toys, they are memories and nostalgia, plasmate in some ways in our favorite superheroes.
I absolutely was a huge fan for the last 22 years, and as a toy photographer, they're definitely one of my favorite figures to take photos of.
I've been a DC fan for all my life, and I would say about 2/3 of it have been spent collecting and hunting down action figures. And to be honest, when I heard DC Direct was closing its doors, possibly forever, I was really floored and appreciate the ones that really meant something to me growing up.
I think without DC Direct, I wouldn't have gotten into collecting action figures. This figure is the one that spawned me getting all of the ones you see here behind me.
DC Direct had a massive contribution in being a DC fan for all my life. And for them to come up with amazing figures that would be part of my collection for so long is just a sweet blessing that they would provide.
I can sit here and say without a doubt, I have more DC collectibles / DC Direct DC figures than from any other company. I probably would not be that big of a DC action figure collector if it wasn't for them.
As an artist, I was finally getting some of the things that I was always looking for. The attention to detail, the head sculpts. I truly believe that had I not been so passionate about collecting DC Direct, I might not be doing what I do today as far as a figure customizer.
I wanted to work for DC ever since I was a little kid. When you work for DC, you're working for the source. You're working for DC Comics itself. My hope is that somehow there's still some ember smoldering somewhere that a phoenix can arise from, and because it was filled with nothing but the best people, the most wonderful people to work with and work for. It was 12 of the happiest years of my life in the collectibles industry.
I visited them at every toy fair, every Comic-Con, enjoyed spending time with them. The industry is sort of sadder and darker not having them there.
DC Direct was more than just collectibles. It was run by an amazing group of people who are fans. They cared deeply about the products they made and what the fans thought. The DC Direct fan community wanted to show our appreciation and say,
Thank you so much for creating perfectly awesome toys for us.
Thank you.
I say thank you.
DC Direct, thank you so much.
I just want to say thanks to DC Direct for all the figures they've put out, for inspiring so many toy photographers.
Thank you, DC Collectibles.
Hopefully someday we'll see each other again.
Thank you for doing what you did. We are all gonna miss you. DC is life.
DC Direct, thank you from the bottom of this collector's heart.
We will miss you, but we will always have these products brightening our homes and our lives, so thank you. Thank you to all the artists who ever contributed to every product that you put out. I own all your action figures, they're awesome, and you will be greatly missed.
I just want to say thank you for making these figures for us, the fans.
Thank you so much, DC Direct, for being a huge part of my life as a collector and providing some of the best figures that I've ever seen.
I keep a Blue Lantern's hope that maybe one day you guys will come back, because I don't believe it's dead.
Although there has been in the past, and currently there are, companies releasing adult-friendly collector products for those of us who never grew up, we have to remember, DC Direct did it first. And to that, we owe a really big debt of gratitude. Thank you, DC Direct, for everything.
I love you guys, and we just wish you great futures.
I'll miss seeing them and spending time with them at Comic-Con, if and when Comic-Con ever happens again. So thank you, DC Direct, DC Collectibles, all you guys. You've made my shelves a lot cooler, and I am richer for your friendships.
DC Direct means everything, so definitely thank you.
Thank you, DC Direct.
Thank to you, DC. Thank for all of it.
Thank you, DC Direct.
Thank you, DC Direct.
Thank you, DC Direct.
Thank you, DC Direct.